VRC has prepared a shipping procedure for patients that are shipping their sperm from overseas to Victory Reproductive Care. We're going to go through a video where we will explain step by step all of the actions you must take. What you're seeing before you is exactly the same shipment you will receive. Box number 1, which contains your supplies, box number 2, which has a cooling engine in it, and your dry shipper, vapor shipper in its outside case, and the inside portion which has the actual tank. Step 1 is to open box number 1 and remove the contents. You're going to simply lift the lid, keep the box upright, and open it. Inside you will find the old cooling engine. This can simply be discarded, so you're going to throw that out. Next, you will find a series of packages. Package that's here in a biohazard bag, which contains some cryo vials, syringes, and the pipettes. Another package which contains tubes for blood collection with your labels. 2 urine and semen sample collection bottles that are sterile. And the sperm freezing media, which is very important that you will need. This should immediately be taken out and put in a refrigerator to stay cool as soon as you've removed it from the box. That's very important because if this stays at room temperature, it will not function appropriately as the preservative. You now want to set aside this box, but keep it because it will be used later on. Your first step is going to be to prepare for your blood draw. Inside this package, you will find 4 red blood tubes with labels and 4 yellow blood tubes with labels. These need to be taken to a lab and your blood must be drawn. The 4 red tubes are fine the way they are, but the 4 yellow tubes must be centrifuged to get them to be usable for us for testing. Once you have completed the blood draw at a lab that you have selected in advance, put the blood tubes into the bag. And then put them in the refrigerator if you're keeping them over the weekend for a Friday blood draw, or put them directly back into your original FedEx package if you're using a Monday blood draw. So these can go right back into the package, wrapped up and placed down there. The next step is to do a urine collection. You simply remove one of the bottles, collect urine in the bottle, open the top, close the top, make sure that it's tight and that there is no leakage, and as long as there's no leakage, place the urine container back into the biohazard bag, seal the bag, and put that also into either the refrigerator or into the box from FedEx. Next, you're going to prepare for a semen analysis and specimen. So what we need you to do is make sure that you have followed the instructions for sperm preparation. You have to wash your hands and the penis first, then ejaculate a sample directly into this cup, put the ejaculate sample in, close the lid, and let that sit at room temperature for 30 minutes. Neatly lay out the contents of the last biohazard bag in front of you. You should have your room temperature sperm sample that has been sitting for 30 minutes, 4 cryo vials, a pipette, your sperm freezing media, and 2 syringes. Carefully take 1 syringe and draw up the full amount of ejaculate from your sperm sample. In this case, this sample has approximately 2 milliliters, which you can see by simply turning the syringe upside down and noting how much volume is there. You can then return that back to the container by simply depressing the syringe and place the container back on the ground. You will next use the new syringe. And from that syringe, you will draw up the same volume of the sperm freezing media that you had in your ejaculate. We had 2 milliliters there, so I'm simply going to draw up 2 milliliters of sperm freezing media. So I now have 2 milliliters in there. It is important now that you only do this drop by drop. Another drop, and keep swishing the sample slowly to make sure that it is continuously being stirred so that the mixture disperses throughout the entire specimen slowly and carefully. This process may take several minutes until completed. You now have the full mixture which you have created with the sperm freezing media and your ejaculate sample. It is now important to make sure that the minimum volume of media that you added was 1.5 milliliters, because you will need a minimum of 3 cryo vials to send to VRC. So even if you only had 1 milliliter of ejaculate, we still need 1.5 milliliters of the freezing media added, so that you'll have a total of 2.5 milliliters minimum with any sample that is sent back. Carefully open the pipette. This pipette is designed so that if you squeeze the tip, it will uptake approximately 1 milliliter of volume for use in the cryo vial. Squeeze the pipette before inserting into the sample. Place the pipette in and loosen up your grip on the pipette. It will fill, as you can see, with the sample. Open your cryo tube. Hold the tube and carefully put in 1 milliliter into each cryo vial. Each time carefully replacing the lid to make sure that it is closed, and check for leakage to make sure that it is secure. You will only need a maximum of 4 vials. If you only have 3 vials, please make sure you put in 1 milliliter into 2 vials and put in the remainder in the 3rd vial. Carefully put your pipette tip back in its case. Seal any remaining specimen which is no longer needed, and this can now be discarded. You no longer need this or the syringes. We now have our 3 cryo vials that we prepared, and we can now get ready to do the remainder of the process. Step 1 is to open the package with the dry shipper. Using a pair of pliers or strong scissors, break the blue zip tie, which will allow access to the package. This can be discarded. The case opens simply by lifting the lid and twisting the handle. Once this has been done, you simply pull back and the lid can now be flipped over. Inside, you will find an envelope with the waybill information for the return, as well as 2 zip ties that you will also need for returning the package. Do not remove the dry shipper from the plastic container. Leave the dry shipper inside. Simply take the pliers and cut the 2nd zip tie in order to open up the 2nd package. Once opened, carefully lift the lid and you'll see that there is some vapor coming off. Do not touch any component that is inside the lid. Always maintain your hand on the outside. This can now be placed safely on a surface. Inside, you will find a handle. Do not touch any other part other than the handle. The rest is very cold and can cause tissue damage if there is exposure. Simply lift till you can see the silver cup. Take your sperm sample and simply drop it into the cup. Do not at any point in time come into contact with any portion of the metal, as it can cause tissue trauma. Carefully lower the handle back in to the notch where it was located. Again, carefully grab the lid. Do not touch the inner portion. Simply place the lid back on with the notch facing the handle. Remove your zip tie. Place the zip tie through the 2 holes to secure the lid and pull until reasonably tight. Please note, it does not need to go down all the way. Leave enough room for cutting to occur later on. Close the lid, replace the notch, turn the handle to lock. It will lock down. Put the handle down, remove the second zip tie, place the zip tie through, and again, pull until reasonably tight. Do not over tighten in order to leave enough room for access for cutting. You can now remove the waybill, which will be present in the envelope, and place this in the waybill envelope here in preparation for FedEx. You now have to prepare for cooling of the remaining box. Remove the new cooling engine from the box number 2. On the opposite side of the box, you will find a button that must be depressed in order for the cooling engine to function properly. Push the button and wait a few minutes to feel that the engine is active and appropriately cooling. Take the package container that contains your urine sample and your blood tubes and carefully place the cooling engine inside. Please note, inside this package is also the waybill for FedEx, which will contain your instruction sheet and will contain the waybill for return shipping. Carefully place the cooling engine with the silver side up on top of the FedEx package. Close the package with the tabs inwards to completely close the box. Make sure that you take some form of household tape and wrap the box completely so that there cannot be any spillage of the contents of the package. Simply take the waybill face up and place this in the Ziploc bag. Reseal carefully to make sure that the Ziploc bag cannot be opened. You are now ready to call FedEx. Simply call FedEx and arrange in advance for them to be able to pick up both the cryo shipper and your FedEx box in preparation for return shipping to Victory Reproductive Care. If you have any questions at all, the video is available under the resources guide on the website for Victory Reproductive Care, www.drvictory.com/resources. You are also available to email us at Fariba, F-A-R-I-B-A, @drvictory.com. All questions and queries will be responded to within 24 hours and should be received from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for selecting Victory Reproductive Care. We look forward to helping you create your family.